2023, the year of building a road, having a baby.
We found water on the property. What else happened this year? Oh, we totaled a Cat 330 excavator. It's not funny, and it is real.
We're gonna break down exactly what happened with that excavator in this video, and we're also gonna go behind the scenes on a bunch of other stuff that you never saw. The beginning of the year started off with us scrambling to get things done before our baby arrived. And then Riley came to me with the idea that he wanted to go winter bike camping.
And I don't know why it didn't register to me, like my very pregnant wife does not want to go bike camping.
Pregnant lady down! We did it.
It was cold, it was wet, and I was very, 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 very underprepared.
We are not becoming a winter camping channel. I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
One very distinct memory that I had while I was pregnant and filming of me feeling different off camera than on camera was when you bought your OBS.
She's talking about the 90s F350 that I bought. I had one of those trucks like when we first met, and I loved that truck. And I had this great idea one day that when I was in town and I saw this ad for this truck of, this is a really good idea, I'm gonna surprise Courtney with this truck. And I pulled up in the truck and Courtney had this big excited wow on camera, and then she turned the camera off and she turned to me and she's like, what did you do?
And we made it a quarter mile down the road before it broke down.
I was feeling like an absolute failure. Like, that sounds dramatic, but this whole idea I had built up in my head that like, this is gonna be so cool and Courtney's gonna love this truck and I love this truck, it all just sort of deflated and I felt so small.
I had made up in my mind we were gonna have 6 videos done before Oliver was born so that we could take 6 weeks off to spend time as a family. And then he came 3 weeks early. The day after he was born, we came home from the hospital and we had a video that we had to have done by Sunday. And I was down here in the shop and I was sitting on that rolly chair because I couldn't really stand, and I had Oliver in the carrier on the front and I was rolling around filming Riley finish the sidecar. That was probably one of the hardest moments for me this year, was finishing those videos having just had a baby. So then you guys saw us buy the Argo, which is probably the worst purchase we've ever made.
I was really excited about the Argo. I was excited to like transform it into this all-electric beast of a machine. And when that first video didn't perform well, it was pretty crushing to me to realize I wasn't gonna do that.
So we ended up admitting defeat and we sold the Argo a few months ago.
We do have a new merch drop. If you wanna get yourself a Snowverlander shirt, head to the link below. The atmospheric water generator.
Maybe we would call it the water not maker.
The water not maker. I was so excited about this. I feel like I had found this solution. I found a solution to water. I found a way to use our excess solar panel. There was just gonna be this awesome synergistic relationship of off-grid mecca up here with atmospheric water generation, and we worked on that project for months before that unit showed up.
And it just was like, I think we started up here with like our enthusiasm, and by the end we were just down here.
I spent hours out there with it, tinkering with it, figuring out how it worked. I wanted it to work so badly. The more time I spent with it, the more that I realized it was never going to work up here. Like it was just not going to work. I think we've had a lot of questions about why we took that video down. Basically, we didn't want anyone else to end up in the situation that we had ended up in, where they bought it thinking it was going to work because they saw it on our channel. But I do smell your Fritos and they smell yummy. That leads us to the road, and I have a little story about the road. The night that Oliver was born, we were on our way to the hospital in Courtney's car, and we got to the bad part of our road, and Courtney just started saying, don't get stuck in the mud, don't stop.
Oliver arrived very quickly.
The nurse says the baby's gonna be here soon.
And there was a scenario where he probably would have been born on our property.
It was that moment on our way to the hospital where we are in tire deep ruts of mud on our road that we realized, if we're gonna live up here with a child, we need a safer way to get in and out.
Yeah.
So we sold the mini excavator and we bought the Hitachi 120. After one project with the Hitachi 120, I realized like, it's a great machine, but it's not a road builder. We were gonna need to go even bigger than that if we were gonna do that road.
There was a lot of moving pieces to get everything lined up. The first one being that our best friends decided to come up here and build a road with us. And also I think that having Melly and Sebastian here.
Well, Sebastian went with me down to the equipment dealership where I ultimately said, yes, I will rent this. And it's like having that support network to say like, you can do this. As it turns out, normal people can just rent giant equipment. I signed some paperwork. They insisted that we buy the extra insurance. It was expensive. I went ahead and bought it anyways.
There is no way that we would have gotten the project done without it.
We just wouldn't have gotten there. We had to get through that hard rock, and without that excavator and that hammer, we were not gonna get through it. Our D8 was never going to get through it on its own. It felt like our Kubota mini excavator. It felt identical, just that it was huge.
The biggest learning curve was using the hammer.
Yeah, there's lots of rules about the hammer, not wanting to side torque it, not wanting to use it this way, that way. Basically don't break the hammer. We had the cat tech out a few times because we were having some problem with breaking bucket teeth and a broken hydraulic line. And while he was out, he'd kind of give it a once over too.
The only thing that really stood out to you guys the whole time you were operating it was that there was that one dent kind of below the cab glass.
I had seen the little dent. I really didn't think anything of it. And I wasn't even sure if we had done the dent or if it had been there when it had been delivered. All said and done, we had the excavator for 5 weeks. The checkout process or return process was go park it at the end of the road where we can easily get to it with a lowboy and we'll come get it. And that was it.
We finished the road. I still pinch myself every time I drive on the road because it turned out amazing.
It was a serious group effort and we did it. We pulled through, we built a road, and now even still, like, we can get here no problem even in the wintertime.
We needed a little break from the road, so we bought a boat. You guys wanted to know, we posted that video and then what happened to the boat. We had a whole video planned that we were gonna add the cheapest electric trolling motors we could find on Amazon to the boat. And we started filming the video and it just never ended up being what I felt like was enough footage to turn into a video. So we did turn it into a short, and I'll put a link to that down below, but do you wanna tell them what happened?
I bought 2 48-volt trolling motors, like meant for a fishing boat. I stole one of the 48-volt batteries out of our off-grid system. I got distracted for a split second. One of the motors spun around, the mount contraption, or the mount that came with the motor, broke. The motor launched itself off, never to be seen again. I just have the vision in my head of watching that motor basically like power itself to the bottom of the lake. I could see it a long ways down. It just went. It wasn't the bracket that I made that broke. I may have totaled an excavator this year, but for the first time ever, I didn't destroy a pair of boots. Work boots are something that I've always struggled with because it just doesn't seem like they're made to hold up to real world abuse. Which means that over the last 10 years, I've spent more than $2,000 on work boots. Whoa. So when Nick's Handmade Boots reached out to me, I did the math and realized that maybe investing in my boots is the better way to go. I chose the 8-inch tall Hardware Pro for the added ankle support and increased water resistance. 5 months later, and I'm happy to report that these things still look brand new. Made in USA, Nick's boots are designed for longevity and durability. The break-in process has allowed the leather to mold to the shape of my foot, and it feels like I'm wearing a boot that was designed exactly for me. They can be resoled and rebuilt, which means that this might actually be the last pair of boots that I ever own. These might be Oliver's last pair of boots he'll ever own. I don't think Oliver wants my stinky work boots. If you're ready to invest in your feet, head to the link in the description below. For the next 30 days, you can get 5% off the Hardware Pro using the code AMBITIONSTRIKES at checkout. Thanks again to Nix for sponsoring this video and keeping my feet protected.
We just put Oliver down for a nap. That was a question we got a lot this year, is where is Oliver when we're filming? And the answer is it really depends.
Boone watches him. Oh, no, that wasn't the answer we were gonna tell you guys about. Never mind.
Sometimes, like today, we can get filming done while he's napping upstairs. And then if we're doing something really loud or dangerous, which is a lot of the things we film, Riley's mom will watch him, or my mom will come visit and she'll watch him too. So it really—
They say it takes a village, and it really takes a village.
Yeah.
And thank you to both grandmas and grandpas for watching Oliver.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without you guys. About that time, we filmed our tsunami update video.
Oh man, that was a stressful time. Like the water generator that wasn't working and we were trying to figure out what to do with it. And then we got this phone call. It was like, by the way, you're gonna get charged for $30 in fuel, $10 for more diesel emission fluid. And oh, by the way, there's gonna be damage on it too. And I was like, damage? What? What damage? And I said something like, are you talking about that dent that's on the front below the cab? I couldn't remember, I wasn't sure if we had done that or not. And he goes, oh, okay, yeah, you already know about the damage. And he said something like, I'm gonna go ask the guy in the yard and then I'll follow up with you.
The deductible on our insurance was
$2,500.
$2,500, and in our minds, like, oh, there's no way that it's gonna be anything that needs that. We'll just pay out of pocket, replace whatever, you know, that little panel, and move on with things. And then
a few more weeks went by and we still hadn't heard back. We sent a follow-up and no more information.
And so then we just went on with our lives, and then you started doing the shallow well.
I cannot believe that we found water that's right there. Like all of this time on this property trying to figure out what we were gonna do and where we were gonna find water, and it was right there.
And I think looking back, I have regrets on that video that I didn't film more. And I'm gonna be honest, it's because I didn't think it was gonna work.
But we have pumped a few thousand gallons out of that hole, and that's pretty amazing.
I think we were kind of waiting to know how much water it would produce before we decided if it was a reliable option for the house. So more on that in a future video. What do you guys think of this back corner of the shop that we just finished? I think this next video is a good example of how things are different on camera sometimes than in real life. Installing the HVAC in the attic.
Here's a little secret. When we did our plumbing, it was the winter time, and I never actually finished the plumbing. I ran the plumbing vent up into the attic space, and then I thought in the summer I'll come back and I'll run it up through the roof. It smelled so bad up in that attic.
I think it was 115 degrees. It was humid. I will never, ever get that smell out of my nose. I'm really glad we did it, but in the moment, that was, I think, a test of our relationship. It was a test of our filming skills, because the last thing that at least I want to do when I'm uncomfortable is turn the camera on. That was rough, but we conquered it. We did it, we did the install. Man, we were just like kind of on a roll, it felt like. Then we were milling lumber.
Yep.
We got the firewood processor.
We were finally checking projects off that had just been lingering for years because we had never been able to make time for them.
And then we got another call from Kat.
What we thought a damage claim was about a small dent was that they weren't sure if the excavator was repairable. What could be so bad that it's irreparable? So they sent me some pictures where the cab and then where it sits on top of the car body, which is the part that the engine and the boom mount to, the cab was sort of lifted and there was a little gap right here and what looked like a failed weld. And the first two thoughts in my mind were, how did that happen? And how could that possibly mean that the excavator is not repairable? At this point, they were waiting on us for the rest of the process, which is that they needed us to fill out a form to submit to the insurance company for the insurance that we had bought. Part of that form was that I needed to fill out basically detailed information about the damage, when it occurred and how it had occurred.
And so we had a lot of questions and we weren't ready to fill out that insurance form yet because that form was admitting fault.
That we were at fault.
And that's a best case scenario, they accept the claim and it's a $2,500 deductible. Worst case scenario, they deny the claim and we are completely responsible for a $400,000 excavator.
Every time you say it out loud, that like anxiety wave comes over me again. I went down there and looked at it in person. A buddy of mine who knows a lot more about equipment than I do went with me. Once I saw it in person, I really wasn't that surprised that it had broken the way it had. It was one of those freak things. I think a rock in the exact right spot, a big heavy hammer out on the end of the excavator, and somehow either while rotating or driving forward and coming down, we had just contacted that very front corner of the cab on a rock. As I was leaving the yard after looking at the excavator, I was starting to feel a lot more like we were responsible for the damage. I could completely understand, like from an engineering standpoint, how the damage had occurred. I felt very responsible. Like I shouldn't have done that. I know how to operate machines. While I may be reckless Riley on camera, I try not to actually be reckless, especially when I'm using something that's not mine. When I got home from the yard looking at the excavator, I filled out the form, I submitted it, and then I did the best way that I know how to cope with a stressful situation, which is to bury myself in a project so I don't have to think about it. We started our container workshop project.
I love how the equipment storage shed turned out. I loved how the videos turned out. I can't believe how many views they have.
It's one of the most successful build projects we've ever had on this channel, especially as a multi-part series.
And it was fun. And then about halfway through that project, we stumbled on the Van Wives channel. I was just immediately drawn to their tenacity and the way that Jazz and Crystal just dive into a project and learn as they go. And before I knew it, we had a phone call with them. And then before I knew it, they had booked plane tickets. And then before I knew it, they were here. And we ended up having so much fun, and they truly left here as really good friends.
It was really fun to get to connect with people that are sort of on the same life journey that we're on right now.
Then we did some more projects outside, which was really good for both of us. We built the hydro seeder.
Oh yeah.
We got the chipper.
The hydro seeder was fun.
Our property is so beautiful, and I loved this fall getting to be here and work outside.
And then there was the propane generator. We kind of left you guys hanging on this one because we were also kind of left hanging. Ultimately what happened was there was a stuck intake valve that was stuck shut. so no fuel could get in, and so there was no combustion on one of the 2 cylinders, making it so it would run and it would idle, but it wouldn't generate any electricity. Kind of an unfortunate situation all around. It's wintertime, everyone is busy with generators this time of year, and there was a national back order. So it took a long time to get our replacement, but everyone worked really hard to make it right. And we have a generator again, which is the important part.
And then we bought a train. What are your honest thoughts on the train?
I built the train up. It was gonna be the best video we had ever made ever in our lives.
When you drove up the driveway and the bell was dinging, it was like the little kid in me was just alive. And then no one watched the video.
I don't know if it was our worst performing video of the year, but it was pretty close.
It's an example of something that we were really passionate about, but maybe that didn't come across in the video. Maybe we were missing some storytelling. Maybe there's just not that many people into kiddie trains. And I think we were feeling a little deflated at the end of the year.
Yes, we were definitely feeling deflated.
And then we got a call from Kat.
We returned the excavator on July 5th. And so now we're into the end of December. I think it's December 28th or 29th. That entire time, we think there's a thought in our head that we might be on the hook for the entire value of that excavator. But we get the call that the claim has been accepted. All we have to do is pay the insurance deductible, which is still a lot of money, but it is a lot less money, and it'll be behind us and done. And it was just like this wave of relief.
And Kat assured us that it doesn't influence any future rentals we want to do. It's just like a thing that happens, and then we move on.
And what they explained to me was that the area that was damaged is considered to be part of the rollover protection system. Basically, they don't want the liability of that repair should somebody down the line get hurt. So they have to take it to auction and sell it for parts.
They claimed a total loss.
A total loss. So I totaled a $400,000 excavator. It's still hard to hear me say that.
You weren't looking forward to this video.
No. Courtney's been talking about making this video for a while, and I have been dragging my feet on this video because, well, to be honest, I feel like I have failed in some way. Like, I consider myself to be a good equipment operator, and the fact that I did that kind of irreparable damage to a machine, I can break my own things, but to break someone else's thing, I think is different.
Do you want to talk about the bulldozer?
I made a promise to you guys. I made a promise that when this channel gets to 500,000 subscribers, I'm gonna drive the D8 through the abandoned cabin. And I plan to make good on that promise, but there's a problem, which is that I went to move the dozer up into place to get ready to make that video. I fired it up, I was excited, and it's more broken than I realized. It was a disaster. Long story short, it is stuck and it is very broken.
Put down in the comments below how you think we should demolish it. There's a million ways we can demolish a building, and I want to know what you guys think we should do.
I'm voting for explosives.
Anyone watching this video works with explosives and is licensed to blow up a house, can you please email me?
Please. I really want to see it blow up.
That is our year recap. That is the story of how we totaled a $400,000 excavator. Now we're gonna give you some teasers for this year because we've got some big things planned. I have a list of really exciting things.
Babe, that's top secret information.
Definitely more fabrication projects down in the shop.
I put down a deposit on it. We've been working on the logistics.
Tiny house, cabin, guest.
The old K10 that you guys saw in the abandoned homestead video.
The tower.
Which brings us to the most important part of this entire video, you guys. We feel like we have the best audience on YouTube. So thank you so much for a great 2023, and we can't wait to keep doing it in 2024. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me smash a cabin, make sure to subscribe to this channel so we can hit that 500,000 subscriber goal. And well, we'll see you next time.